if you criticize the refs this year, your daughter will be personally fining you? Is that what
You know what? I don't know exactly what her role is yet. They're hush on it, but yeah. How about that? How about that? She probably would cherish that moment.
You get out of line.
A little, but I am helping with her rent, so she's not going to be able to. So I don't think she's going to be too critical.
Anthony, you good in the back? I'm good. Yeah. All right, coach. Open it up to statement.
Obviously, first of all, Carter and I were walking over here, and I can't believe it's 5 days away. Time flies when you're having fun, but I'm excited. Probably the most excited I've been about a group of kids. Just trying to put it together. By no means do I think we're ready yet, but I just think the beginning of the season, it's kind of like ready or not, here it comes. But with this group, it's going to be fun watching them grow as a unit. Individually they have a lot of skill, a lot of talent, and we just have to put it all together. It's probably like a lot of teams across the country, and I think one of the things that coaches are finding out and fans really don't understand is that you get some transfers in, and regardless of their talent, their skill, their experience, it takes a little bit of time to put it all together. But I love where we are as a group. They're fun. They're willing to listen, to learn, to hold each other accountable. And I think it's going to bode for a really good season. And, does that mean that we're going to go undefeated? Absolutely not. I mean, there's a lot of good teams on our schedule that we play. But I think we're tested, we're battle tested, and we're ready for the opportunity. So everyone's been working hard. The kids who have come back, I think you'll see improvements from them, even from Liz, who was the player of the year. She's gotten better. Georgia's gotten better. Kayla King's gotten better. Kiana Trailer is much more comfortable in our system. She's playing extremely well. So I'm excited for the year to come up and see how we can just progress and get better throughout the year.
All right, please raise your hands for questions. We have a wireless microphone. We'll start with Anthony in the back.
Hey, Coach. Do you have any specific goals for the non-conference portion of the schedule, things that you want to see? I know you touched on the chemistry thing. Is that something that is going to be important for you guys to kind of get gelled early on before you hit the meat of the ACC?
Yeah, I'm not really big on the coaching cliches, but I'll slip some in every now and then. And just obviously just try to get better every game, that we go out. And that's just the easiest way to describe it. Of course we want to win every game. Do we feel like we're going to be undefeated at the end of the non-conference? Well, we certainly have the possibilities, but we also have the possibilities to get beat in a lot of those basketball games as well. So our only goal is to just try to gel with the chemistry, get better each and every day. We've had some days this already that we've looked phenomenal, and then we've had a couple of days where we looked like we were playing as a bunch of individuals, and so it's just really trying to be consistent where we're trying to get better and understand who we can be if we do things the right way, our way, and so if we can just be better every day, I think we'll be able to achieve all of our goals.
And since we talked to you guys in Charlotte, you've been picked to finish second in the ACC. You're ranked nationally in the top 25. How do you think your players will respond to the fact that you guys won't really sneak up on anybody this year, that there are those expectations for you guys?
Yeah, I think what we've done is, and you have to, and regardless, when I was at James Madison, the first few years I was there, we weren't picked to win anything. And it was ODU's league, and we were chasing ODU. And we went from a challenger brand, and all of a sudden we caught ODU, and we caught everybody else who was ahead of us, and then we had to learn to adjust to play when you had the bullseye on your back. And it's really going from a challenger brand to a championship brand. And I think our kids, they've challenged enough and they've chased enough, and now they do understand. They understand what it is to be one of those teams that people are looking forward to playing. And we've caught it on social media or whether it was through interviews a lot, but it seems like we're a game that people are really looking forward to from a lot of programs. You'll hear them say, we're looking forward to playing NC State and Virginia Tech. We're looking forward to playing that game against Virginia Tech. And so we know that, but we have a very mature group, and we understand that it's not really about what other people are going to do. If we go out and we focus on ourselves and what we're capable of doing, everything else will take care of itself.
When you guys get to the beginning of March in the ACC tournament, you'll probably have played between 8 and 12 ranked opponents of different styles and shapes, from Nebraska and Kentucky and Tennessee to all the teams you'll play in the ACC. When you put the non-conference schedule together, how much of that was in the back of your head of, I want to challenge our team with different looks and stuff, so when we get to March, we'll be prepared for that?
Yeah, first and foremost, scheduling got a lot harder. It wasn't like when I first got here, everyone wanted to play us. Hey, yeah, come on, we'll play you. And then all of a sudden, transfer season starts, and you're able to get, some pieces that you really coveted, and a lot of the phone calls weren't, being returned. As a matter of fact, we had a couple of instances where in a tournament style, people were like, oh, we don't want to play Virginia Tech. We don't want to play Virginia Tech. And I'd call somebody, no. I think the only person that really was wanting to play us was South Carolina, and we already had an SEC schedule. We were already playing 3 SEC teams, so it was like, no, maybe in the future. But it's just the schedule did turn out well for us because we're going to go and we're going to play Kentucky, who plays a lot like Clemson and a couple teams in our league that they want to press you and try to make the game chaotic. So that's going to be great preparation. Missouri's a game that is going to be a tough turnaround, but they play a style that's really like we haven't seen before. But it's very similar to what Florida Gulf Coast plays. So we think that's going to be able to challenge us. Nebraska, when we were having the Big Ten tournament discussions, we were just hoping for someone of that caliber that was going to really challenge us. Very well coached, very similar to the way we run, the way we play. So we're going to play a lot of good teams. We got to go to Tennessee. We have to play, and they're an extremely deep, talented basketball team. And then I think the thing that really threw us off a little bit was we have 2 conference games before Christmas. One was because it was our turn to play the early game, and we agreed to play it in December. We could have played it in November, but not knowing what was going to happen in the future, we didn't know we were going to get transfers. We didn't know we were going to have a schedule like we wanted to put together, and it kind of threw us off a little bit. So that kind of gets thrown right in there in the middle. But it's a very challenging schedule. I think it's one that's going to prepare us for a lot. It's going to test our resolve, our mentality, our toughness. And I think it's going to be one that will allow us to put ourselves in position, along with the ACC schedule, to get a coveted seed that we want. And so now our program has gotten to the point where, when we first started, we were just trying to get in. We were just trying to get in, and we just got in, and now it's okay. Now we're starting to play for seeding. Now we're starting to try to prepare for seeding so that we can advance further along in the NCAA tournament.
You mentioned Kiana has grown more comfortable in the system. What do you think is the biggest difference between her last year when you got her and to now, and what do you think's helped her grow so much?
Hey, I could sit here and say, man, I've coached her up and I've done this and I've done that. It's just experience. It's just been in our system. Because when she first got here, she was still playing like she was playing at Purdue, and rightfully so. Taylor Soul's doing the same thing. She's playing like she played at Boston College. Ashley Owusu's playing like she played at Maryland, and it just takes you a little bit of time so that you can really get indoctrinated into the new system. When Kiana played at Purdue, everything was she was trying to get out in the passing lane. She gambled a lot on defense, where we don't do that. We really protect the paint. And so as a coach, you have to evolve. And I'm not that old grumpy man. Get off my lawn. I'm willing to listen and learn, and we'll compromise a little bit. And I think that's what Kiana and I have done. We've compromised. Okay, you play your brand, but kind of the way that I would like for you to play it. So we allow her to do some of the things that she's really used to, but she understands what our philosophy is a lot more now, and on the defensive end. And then she also doesn't break as many plays on the offensive end like she had to do at Purdue. She's really trusting of her teammates. She knows how to get them the basketball with the understanding that if she gives it up, eventually she'll get it back. And that's the way she's been playing all preseason. So I'm excited about her and her prospects and what she's going to be able to do a year into our system.
I know you call her Chuck. Charlize, what was her recruiting story? How did you find her? That's 2 Australians on your team.
Yeah.
Has she benefited from having Georgia alongside her, and what do you kind of expect for her this year?
Charlie, Chuck, as we affectionately call her, she's going to be a really good basketball player, really good. And, she has benefited from Georgia's presence here. I was actually talking to Georgia yesterday extensively about Charlie, and she said Charlie, when she first got here, she got on her nerves, and now she's grown, and so it's kind of like that little sister thing. They were familiar with each other. I think they played in the same basketball league for a short while of time, but Charlie's 2 years younger, and but Charlie benefited immensely from coming here early. So she was here last year in January. She sat, she watched, she was wide-eyed, didn't understand anything. And you can tell that she's further along than the other freshmen just because of her understanding and being able to play and practice with us. Still not there, Maybe if she came here 3 years ago, she probably would have been playing, significant minutes. But she understands that she's joining a team that's full of all-conference caliber players. And instead of pouting and hanging her head, what she's doing, she's just really dove into the fact that I'm going to learn a lot from these players, and she's just a sponge. She's learning everything right now from those kids, and I think she's going to have a good role for us this year. I don't know how significant it's going to be, but she's going to be able to contribute in a really good way. She's a physical kid. She can play the 3, she can play the 4. She shoots the basketball. She's probably had one of the better falls shooting the basketball alongside with Georgia and Kayla, and she's probably I would probably say our third best shooter, and so she's gonna get some time. She's gonna make some mistakes, but I think the great thing is that she's got some upperclassmen who are willing to take her under the wing.
How's the Ashley?
Yeah, the Cowboys are great. All right, so. Oh, okay, all right, go ahead.
How's the Ashley?
I threw him off. I stumped him. You see that?
How's the Ashley Georgia gelling going?
It's well. It really is. It's going to be a work in progress. But the thing is organically they've just learned to mesh. It's not been hey, Georgia, you're the point this time. Ashley, you're the point this time. What people don't understand too, you throw Kiana in that mix. Kiana was strictly a point guard at Purdue. And so we almost have an embarrassment of riches at the point guard position because we have 3 kids who are all conference caliber that can play that position. But in today's game, and especially the way that I like to play, you got to have more than one point guard on the floor. And when you have 2 ball handlers, primary ball handlers on the floor, it's really hard to guard you. And they're so versatile that, Georgia from the point guard position and then Ashley at the 2 guard position, and they can flip-flop, and they're equally as effective. You can bring Georgia, like we played against Carolina last year in the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament, and we put Georgia off the ball most of the game because she was so effective, and I think she scored 20 points in the second half. Georgia can play there, and Georgia can shoot the ball. She's explosive from there, and so they're very versatile, and all 3 of them are learning all 3 positions from the guard spot. And they're interchangeable, and it depends on who has the ball and who's on what side of the floor. And I think that's going to make our offense quicker, faster. Because it's not like get the rebound, I have to find Georgia. Get the rebound, find the point guard, whichever one, and it makes us faster on the fast break. And they're all pretty good at making decisions in transition, and they all are doing a really good job of just running the offense.
What kind of impact do you think having Taylor will make for your team defensively?
Man, she is she's everything that you want. You can when you sit down at the end of the year and you say, hey, we need this or we need that, you pretty much can say we need a Taylor Soul type. And her energy level is extremely high. She gives us a rim runner that we haven't had. And when I say a rim runner, we get a rebound, man, and she shoots out of there. It looks like somebody shot her out of a cannon. Brent could use her over on football because that's how explosive she is, and she's such an athlete. And so what she does, it makes our fast break better because she shoots right down the middle of the floor, pulls the defense in, and then it gives opportunities for our guards to be able to shoot from the outside. And that's something we've never had since I've been here. And then she's just a ball of energy. Her resume tells you that she was an all-defensive player in the ACC, and then she's unselfish. I was just meeting with her before I came over here, and she just I said, what do you bring to our team? And she, immediately she's like, well, I can be a connector. I can be, somebody who, does the dirty work. And that's somebody who was first team all ACC, somebody who averaged 16 points a game the last 2 years. And she's just willing to come in and be a part of something that can help us win a championship. And so that attitude in itself makes her very, very attractive and makes us a team to contend with, because if you have someone who starred in this league who is willing to just be a connector, as she said, it just means that you have a very unselfish basketball team. But she's going to be more for us than just a connector, because she just offers so much, something that we didn't really have last year.
Go to Ryan in the back.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, good.
Just a quick question. I'm curious, do you enter this season with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, or do you kind of wipe the slate clean from last season?
Oh no, we always have a chip. I got a lot of chips on my shoulder. I think that's what you do as a competitor. We do know it's a new season, but I think that from your experiences, and you look at these kids, Liz has a chip on her shoulder from 3 years, and what we deem we didn't do as much as we probably could have. Like last year, the chip on the shoulder was that Baylor, really put it to us, and we gotta do certain things better so that doesn't happen again. Last year, the Florida Gulf Coast game, although I thought we played well enough to win, we just weren't there. We weren't healthy. Liz wasn't healthy, even though she scored 42 in that game. Kayla King, who was our primary defender on the perimeter, she shouldn't even been out there. And so we just really didn't finish the way we wanted to because of injuries. So we understand that we felt like we were a little bit short. We could have almost hosted last year. Maybe it's one game that we didn't win. So I think the kids are learning from that experience. That's their chip. They learned from last year, and they're not mad. They're not angry. They know that we had a great year, but we just want to shore up some of the little things that will help us be even better this year.
And I know you talked a little bit about Kiana. I mean, it seems like she's kind of your Vinnie Johnson, if you don't mind me saying, because she can just heat it up really quick. Is that kind of how you're going to see her and kind of her new role out on the court?
Yeah, the thing with Kiana is that we've never put restrictions on her. It's just, okay, understand what we want, how you're going to get it. And it was an adjustment because she was everything at Purdue. I think she averaged 15 points a game, and she shot the ball, all the time. And coming here, and that's what she wanted. She had to learn how to play with other really good players. And I think she's really adapted, and she understands that. So now she's more calm. Last year, I thought sometimes she hunted her shot. This year, she's kind of waiting for her opportunity to take advantage of it. And she just sees her growth in our system. So we've never put restrictions on her. It's just always, okay, understanding what's going to be a better opportunity for you. And I think she understands that now. And she's more calm. She's more confident. And she's going to be a significant contributor to our success. And we know that whether she starts or comes off the bench, she's still going to have a very prominent role.
And just my last question, in terms of Deja Gregg, I know one of the big things, we don't necessarily see the points, but we see the intangibles, whether or not she's going to pick up the charge. Are you kind of looking at her in that defensive standpoint as well as what you saw her last season? I mean, because she was hitting the charge, she was hitting the boards like nobody's business. Is that kind of what defines her role?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we call her Demo. So when you say Deja Gregg, I don't know who the heck you're talking about. So but we call her Mo. I love Demo. I love what she brings to our team. Demo is she's a basketball savant. I mean, she loves basketball. I mean, I've never coached a kid who loved basketball more. We're walking through the airport and she's got it on her phone, and I'm like, Demo, what are you watching? She's like, I'm watching a basketball game. I'm like, well, who's playing? And she's like, it's a G League. And she just watches basketball all the time. So she has a very high basketball IQ. She knows exactly what we want, knows the system. So she's going to be very, very important to what we do. It's added depth. She can play the 4 or the 5 for us, and with an understanding of both positions. Doesn't need the basketball in her hand all the time, but she's a great connector. She's kind of like our Draymond Green. On the offensive end, she catches it and she understands where the shooters are, the scorers are, and she gets the ball to them very seamlessly. And then defensively, she's always in the right spots. And even though she didn't start any games for us last year, she finished most of them. And that just goes to show you how important she was to us. But very excited for her role. Just watching her mature and grow as a person. I think she came in here and she wasn't very, very confident in herself. In a lot of different areas, and I think being here at Virginia Tech, she'll tell you that she's grown immensely as a person, not only as a basketball player, and I think that's exactly what you want their experience to be.
We've got time for Evan and Anthony, one on Zoom.
Coach, somebody we haven't talked enough about, she has a ton of experience. She got a lot of playing time down the stretch last year, is Taylor Geiman. what kind of off season has she had this year? For
You know, Taylor's probably had the healthiest off season she's had, some wood. And you know, I just feel for that kid because you know she's one of the hardest working kids we had. Right from the get go, she was always stricken with injuries, where she hasn't been able to perform physically as well as she probably would have liked. So she's you know as healthy as she's been since she's been here. Her knowledge, her experience of our system, is just going to bode well. It's going to add some depth for us. And so I've been very pleased with her production and what she's been doing. Obviously, she's playing a little bit of catch up to her classmates, just because they've had some very valuable experience and she hasn't really had that. But hopefully, she'll continue to get comfortable, and she'll be able to contribute for us.
Kenny and Charlotte, you talked about you wanted to you wanting Hokie Nation to sort of lean into the team even more this year. You get the benefit of being the front end of a doubleheader with the men on Monday. Do you think that's an opportunity for more Tech fans to maybe fall in love with your program?
Yes and no. Doubleheaders aren't what they are in high school. Doubleheaders in high school, the girls will play and then 30-minute session and then everybody's there and then the boys game starts. And for ticketing reasons, revenue reasons, safety reasons, to fan base reasons, our game will play and they'll clear it and then the others will play. All right, so I think our recognition is just going to come from how we play, obviously marketing our group, and then word of mouth. But and that's why I was screaming from the mountaintop. This group deserves our attention. And when I say ours, I'm talking about Hokie Nation because we have one of the better basketball teams in the country. We have kids who represent this university to the utmost. They're great kids. They do what they're supposed to do. They're smart kids. They represent what it is to be a student athlete and what it is to be a Hokie. And I just think they deserve the attention because you can see it on the men's side. And don't get me wrong, I love our men's group. What Mike does and the kids in that program. They deserve everything that they get too. But we see and the girls see what Castle looks like, feels like, sounds like when you have a packed crowd. And we played a game last year against NC State, and that was probably one of the best crowds that we've had, probably the best crowd that we've had. Energetic, and when we can have that, it makes a really good team. It can make it a great team, and it's a lot of fun. So I just I encourage everyone to come out because I promise you won't be bored. You won't be bored. With the way that they play, the way that we play, the style is very conducive for fan appreciation, and we play a very similar style to the men. The only thing you're not going to see is I don't know. Give me the stat. What do the men get? Like maybe 2 dunks a game, 1.3. I don't know. We're not going to get that, but the game is very, very similar, and it's ironic, but it's a lot of fun too. I can go watch Mike Young's team practice, and I know exactly what they're trying to accomplish. I couldn't say that 5 years ago, but it's very similar style, and I think it's very, very entertaining for the fan bases.
Mike, do you have any questions on Zoom?
Got time for one question on Zoom. Can we please go to Eric?
Hey, Coach, you talked about having some of those newer pieces in that transferred. How much of a benefit is it to have already experienced players that can perhaps take some of that pressure off your shoulders to get them up to speed?
It's a tremendous advantage. It's also a little bit of a disadvantage because they're already ingrained in kind of what they know and what they've learned over the last 4 years or some of them 3. And it's almost like you have to erase kind of what they learned terminology-wise, philosophical differences that you might have with a different team. Not philosophical, yeah, philosophical. But so it's a blessing and a curse. They get when they get up to speed. I've had to yell a lot less this year than I have in years prior. And it's because we have so many older players, and I kind of give them that dad look, and they know, okay, I messed up. All right, we got to get it together. And so we have conversations. Probably with a younger group, I would have to do more yelling to get my point across. And so it's a blessing and a curse because they understand it, they're mature, but at the same time you're trying to erase a system that they learned for the last 4 years so that they can get up to speed with what you're doing. And there's been plenty of times where they do something that I can tell that they've done it from their experience with their previous programs, and we just have to continue to tell them we don't do that here. And so it is a blessing and a curse.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
Got KT coming up next.
KT.
So does she start Monday or does Kayla start Monday?